Hey guys, it's John Sariga from TMPA. Hey, one of the most common calls we get for legal defense is for accusations of misconduct related to social media posts. And now, in the wake of what happened at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, we're seeing officers from across the country accused of misconduct, not only for their presence in D.C., but also for social media posts related to what happened at the Capitol. As a matter of fact, the president of the Seattle Police Guild has been accused of misconduct related to some, I believe it was Twitter posts that he did after what happened at the Capitol. So what we've done today is I'm being joined by Lance Wyatt. Lance is a TMPA regional attorney. Lance did 16 years at the Dallas Police Department, left Dallas as a sergeant, went to law school, been a practicing attorney for over 20 years now, 18 of which he's been representing police officers. So obviously Lance is very, very experienced representing cops. So I've asked Lance to come on and just talk about social media, freedom of speech, and what officers need to know, what you guys need to know in regards to those subjects. So Lance, I'm just going to turn it over to you and have at it.
Okay, thanks, John. Well, what I want to start with is the concept of what is social media, and is it yours or is it somebody else's? You know, can a department or a city control what you have to say? And what I want you to recognize from the outset is when you as a citizen enter into government service, you are giving up to a degree some of your rights. And that is what you do when you become a peace officer. You know that there are certain things that your department says that you can do and certain things that your department says you can't do. And they can control both on-duty activity and off-duty activity under certain circumstances. One of the things that John and I have talked about before is the idea of someone being in an at-will employment environment versus a civil service environment. And those are two different things. There are very few employees in this state that are civil service employees as peace officers, and there are a lot of police officers and law enforcement personnel that are what we call at-will employees. And let me take a moment to address that. If that's you, you can be separated from your agency for a good reason, a bad reason, no reason, as long as the reason is not something that's unlawful. And as I explain that, what I mean is if you are a whistleblower and they terminate you violating that law, that's an unlawful act and you will have certain protections. But if they terminate you because it's Tuesday and they woke up on the wrong side of the bed, that is a lawful termination. Not a good reason to do it, but it's lawful. So let's talk about social media for just a moment. And, you know, sometimes people will say, well, I've got my settings to private or things of that nature. I'm trying to protect, my interests. But if you're out there and you're commenting on social media, if you are looking at news stories and you're commenting on other people's posts, if their settings are different from yours and it's getting out there and there's something that shows or they can make a connection to you as a peace officer, well, guess what? It's not private. And if you say things that may show bias or that may cause you to be brought into disrepute or may discredit your department in some way, guess what? You're probably going to end up talking to me or John or someone else about the issues that you're having. You want to try to avoid that. They talk, one of the questions is, well, can the department control what I put on my social media? And the answer to that is you have to control what you put on your social media. You have to be cognizant of how you're portraying yourself on social media. You cannot allow yourself to be in a situation where one of the things that we talk about is, okay, you may have certain rights of speech, free speech, that you may be able to convey to your spouse. But if you sit there and you post it online and you publish it, when you publish it on the internet, guess what? It's out the door for everybody to see. And it's no longer a private conversation, it is published. And now you're conveying information out on the internet, and that can cause your department to have issues with how you, for lack of a better term, have conducted yourself, how you have presented yourself as one of their employees. Now, one of the things that I've heard questions about is, okay, what about my spouse? What about him or her? And they post online. Well, that's a conversation that you really need to have with your spouse. Because if you all are sharing information, or if you all, are putting pictures and different things or information about your career, it's not going to take long for someone to figure out, hey, he's a police officer, or she's a deputy sheriff. And at that point, if there's something on there that's inflammatory, that is problematic, that may not be a problem for conversation between you and your spouse, but when it hits the internet, when it's public domain, it creates problems for you, creates problems for your department, and may cost you dearly. One of the things that I've commented on, and that I want to address right here, is you have to think about your livelihood. You have to think about your career. How long have I been there? How long have I wanted to become a police officer? Do I want to end my career based upon some post? And you have to have conversations with your spouse and share with your spouse the ramifications that can come from a situation where he or she is posting.
Well, I think it's important to note also that we're representatives of the department on duty and off duty. And that may, I think and over the years, I've spoken to literally hundreds of members who have been accused of misconduct related to social media. One of the first things they say is, well, I'm not in my uniform, I'm expressing my own political opinions, et cetera, et cetera. But again, they need to keep in mind that they are representatives of the department on and off duty. Would you agree?
I would, John. And clearly department policies that I see make it very clear that when it comes to your personal conduct, when it comes to code of conduct violations, they reference on and off duty. They can control whether you consume alcohol on or off duty. They can control whether they can control your off-duty jobs and what you do if you have a second career while you work for them.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, I think you've covered just about everything. Anything else in closing?
Well, I guess what I would convey is kind of a continuation of what I just said. Be cautious. Realize, have the communications with your spouse, with your children. If they're older, and they're posting things, you've got to be cautious about what's conveyed in your name or potentially showing you as a police officer. Because there's people that are out there watching us and watching what we have to say and what we're posting. And it can be a problem. And we don't want that to be a problem that you confront.
Awesome. All righty, Lance. Well, hey, we really appreciate everything you do for our members. You're there 24/7, 365. I think every single time I've ever called you over the years at 1, 2, 3 in the morning, you've answered on the first ring and you've been out the door. So you're a real asset to our members. We appreciate you. Stay healthy, and thanks for your time today. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir, John. And just hopefully all the officers are out there well and stay safe.
All right. Thanks, Lance. Take care.
Sir. Bye, John.
Thanks, guys.